Okay, so I don't normally do this sort of thing here, but just bear with me because I have something pretty exciting to share. So as a lot of you know, the hunt for the quote-unquote perfect baitcaster for amateurs, professionals, pretty much anybody who wants to get into bass fishing is pretty common because nobody has the perfect fishing reel. Nobody can just whip up any concoction of combinations of like rods and reels and tell you what to use because everybody fishes for different things in different ways, and finding the perfect baitcaster is pretty hard and it's pretty impossible. But right now I have in front of me my first quote-unquote higher end baitcaster, because this is probably mid-range I would call it, but it was my first expensive combo purchase. Right now I have the Lews Mach 2 set up in front of me. This is the bait casting version of their Mach series. This is the Mach 2, and there is the Mach 1 and the Mach Crush, and it's like a whole line that they have, the Mach series, I guess, but there's another one coming out, I think, later this October. So I figured what better time to review this rod than right now. So today we are going to jump right into it. I'm going to give you some specs, give you my personal experience, both the good and the bad. So stay tuned and enjoy today's review. So the main thing that people look at when it comes to buying pretty much anything, but especially a new setup, is price. Now, this can vary depending on where you shop around at, where you're buying from, all of that. And I just want to cover how much I paid for it. Personally, I bought this from Dick's Sporting Goods about a year and a half ago, and I paid $190 for the combo. Now, if you have a rod like a bait casting rod that you want to pair with the reel because you don't want to spend up to $190 give or take for the whole setup, you can always just buy the reel itself for about $80, pretty much $80 to $100 for the reel itself is what you're gonna find. So you can pair that up with your own stick and see if that works for you. But personally, I just bought the combo because, I don't know, I really like it. So yeah, that was a little bit of a spoiler. I do really like this setup, but this is going to be an unbiased review. I'm going to go over the negatives as well as the positives that it's had for me. So that was the kind of price I wanted to go over. You're pretty much, if you're going to buy the whole setup as a combo, you're going to find it for around probably $170 all the way up to maybe $200, depending on if you're shopping at chains or if you're going to mom and pop fishing shops. So that was the price that I wanted to go over just real quick here to get it out of the way in case you were wondering how much you're going to expect to pay for this setup. Alrighty, so we covered the price of what you can expect to pay for this setup. Now we're going to go over the specs. So the color pattern is green. If you don't like green, maybe go with a different setup because the whole theme of the Mach 2 is green. That's kind of irrelevant though. It looks cool. The brand is Lews. This is the Lews Mach 2, obviously. It is a one-piece 7-foot medium heavy action fast taper rod, so expect to be throwing this with heavier line. I throw personally between 20 and 30 pound braid on here, but of course you can rig it with anything that you prefer, but the line weight on it is about 10 to 20 pounds, so I personally just like throwing heavier braid for most of my baits. So there's that. It's a big setup. It's a big sturdy setup. You're not going to be pan fishing with this, at least not most likely. So yeah, I use this for frog fishing, for soft plastics, for cranking. Pretty much it's a good all-around bait caster. So that's why this video is titled The Best Bait Caster, because personally I think it's a good universal bait caster to have for all types of fishing. So yeah, now that we got over that, yeah, it's a casting rod. This is pretty important for you guys who need to know about the retrieve methods. I personally got the left-hand retrieve because, this is just a personal preference. It comes in both left and right-handed retrieve as a bait caster, so that is important to know. But personally, I'm a righty, and I just prefer to use it as I would my spinning setups. So yeah, I prefer to just cast with the right hand and reel with the left. So it comes in both ways, so whatever you prefer, and you can shop around and see whichever one they have. And I did just mention this a couple seconds ago, but this is a one-piece rod. If you're into traveling where you kind of need to break it down into two pieces, you cannot expect to do this with this rod. Personally, I don't really care because when I drive to fishing places, I don't really do much flying or anything like that or traveling, so it works okay just putting it in the car. But if you need to be breaking it down, well, you can't with this, so shop around for something different. But if you don't care, if you throw it in the bed of a truck, if you have those rod casing holders or whatever, you can be fine with this. But it's a one piece, 7 foot, so it's a hefty, long setup. Alright, so now that we got the kind of specs and details out of the way of this rod, I'm going to now go over my personal experiences with it, the pros, cons, and the in-between. So to start off on a positive note, the pros, this is a very, very durable and versatile setup that just personally feels great in the hand. I was using my newer Baitcaster, the Daiwa Procaster 80, review to come, so stay tuned. But I was using that and I love it. I love the casting on it, but right now it's out of commission because I got a pretty bad backlash that I actually should probably work on after this video, but that's besides the point. But I was using that and then I switched over to this because I was throwing a frog on that reel and a soft plastic on here, and not to bash Daiwa, but this one just personally felt better in my hand. The Lews Mach 2 has great ergonomics, it's very light, and it just feels great in the hand. Plus it's versatile for all the baits that you're throwing. So if you're looking for something as an all-around baitcaster, like I said, universally this one will do the trick because it just, the fast taper on it, the length, it's not too long, but it's not too short. So yeah, a couple pros. It's very durable. It feels just very higher end for the price. Personally, I've never owned a $300, $400 plus setup, but this just feels on the higher end. You know, if you buy this, I've had this for over a year and it's held up extremely well. So feels great, feels higher end, and it's relatively like on the lower end of pricing if you're saving up for it. So there's that. There's a couple pros. It casts great. I've had very little problems with backlashes. In fact, I don't think I've ever gotten a bird's nest on it that I cannot get out. So overall, if you're throwing it the right way with the right baits, you will have very low maintenance that you'll need to take with this. So those are a couple pros. Of course, it's not all of them, but just know I really like this rod. With the pros out of the way now, you know it is time to get on to the negatives of this rod. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this setup, but as everything always does, it has some negatives of its own. So something I want to start off with, this is most likely probably user error, but it's still something that happened now. Alright, it's a little hard to see. In fact, I don't even think that you can, but like right there, it is missing the first eyelet liner. I don't know the technical name, but that's what I'm going to call it. All of the eyelets on here have a little, it's like a smoother metal casing that goes around them so that the line doesn't fray as much and it casts smoother, and mine on the first point eyelet fell out within the first probably couple weeks of getting it. So that was a little bit inconvenient. I've tried to squeeze it back in there with pliers, and I have a video of myself doing that from about 2 years ago. Not even 2 years ago, like a year ago, and it just did not work out all that well. So now it's just gone, and it's a little inconvenient, but like I said, probably user error from hitting it on something, but just so you know it happened. So there's that. Another problem that I had with it is more on the cosmetic side. So if you're somebody who likes to keep your gear all nice and clean, just know that the green on here, it might be a little hard to see, but the green gets dirty real easily, especially if you're fishing in not the best conditions, if you're getting your rods wet or in the mud. All the green, the material is like it's like a rubbery foam, but it's going to get dirty. So the green will become a little slightly black, slightly on the darker side. So if you're a cosmetic freak and you like to make sure everything's neat and tidy, you can probably clean it, but it just gets dirty very fast. So those are a couple of the negatives I can think of, but honestly, there's not much more than that. I mean, you're gonna pay the price for $190 and it's gonna hold up well. It's not like it's just a cheap rod that they're peddling to a bunch of amateur fishermen. This is a good mid-range setup. So not too many negatives, not too many outstanding positives, but it's a great all-around setup. and I love using it whenever I head out to the water. Alright guys, I'm pretty sure that is going to wrap it up for today's rod review. This is the first one I've ever done. I've done videos where I've talked about different rods and reels before, but this is the first time I actually got down to review one, and I know this one's pretty popular among people of all degrees of fishing, whether you're new to it or you're very accustomed to the Lews brand. Just know that this one, no matter what type of fisherman you are, is most likely going to hold up well, especially if you are getting into looking to purchase a mid-range baitcaster. So those are some of the pros, some of the cons, the downsides, and the outstanding sides to the Lews Mach 2. And I know I'm pretty much rambling at this point. I'm just new to sitting down and talking to you guys as opposed to getting out on the water. But if you enjoyed this type of video, be sure to leave a comment, tell me what you thought, leave a like, and I'll know to do more of them. So thank you guys so much for watching. If I can, I'm going to find some clips of myself using this rod, and I'm going to throw them in right now after I kind of close out here. So again, thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video. Subscribe, check out my other ones, and I will be sure to read every comment as always. So thank you guys. I hope you're doing well, and as always, I will see you in the next video.
Oh, I got him! Oh, he ate the rat! Oh my gosh! Second cast, and he ate the rat. Off he goes. Oh my god, that was so sick.